Hey, greetings and welcome everyone. This is Alan. I'm here at Faywood Hot Springs with Daniel Giamario, the founder of our school, on the line, and he's going to help give us a tour today of the stone circle that was constructed under his guidance.
I wish I could be there with you. I lived actually just a few miles from there back in about 1997, 98. And I didn't know when I first got to that area that only a few miles away was this amazing hot springs. And I became good friends with the owner at that time period. And he unfortunately passed away many years ago. But we're talking about the late 90s. And he was very much into stone circles and loved the vision that I had of stone circles. And he said, well, I'm a builder. I know where big stones are. And so therefore, I'll build it for you. And this was my design. And what I did is that I started it off in a very organic way. In fact, I would suggest go to the center stone. It all started, this was all done without any instruments or anything, right? So I walked to the top of this hill, a really marvelous, unused hill, and it's okay. And so I got a sense of where the center would be. And so this stone here was the center stone. So it all started with the center stone. And my idea was to have 12 stones surrounding one in the middle. And it was inspired by the Callanish stone circle in Scotland. And once we had the center stone, then we waited for an evening, and then we saw exactly where the North Star was, where Polaris was. And so I had somebody walk over to where Polaris was stationed, and we had a person stand under the Polaris. Okay. Got a sense of how far it would be, and then we went over and put that stone in, marking north. And then it was easy to do the south stone, which was exactly straight line across. So we had 3 stones originally. And then we started doing our groups here, a marvelous place to do a group. And at each season, we would put in new stones. So maybe you might want to, well, actually, before you look toward the east, I want to explain something. This not only was this inspired by Callanish with 1 big stone in the middle and 12 around it. This was also inspired by a style of Scottish stone circles where they would put the stones in a shape that matched the horizon. And while there is a particularly low horizon here, there are still like differences, some mountains in certain areas. So this was set up in such a way that if you are sighting the stones from the top of the center stone, which we're looking at right now, and then you sight the 12 stones from that, kind of looking at that as a sight line, you will note that almost precisely, we tried to get it precise, that the top of each of the 12 stones matches the horizon. So this is in the style of Scottish stone circles, where they would have the stones in different shapes to match the horizon. So the way this was created is that if you were at the center stone and you kind of sat down or kneeled down by the center stone, you would sight each stone, each of the 12, and it would line up with the horizon. And that's the reason why the 12 stones are of different sizes. Some of them quite large and some of them not very large at all. What we did, we had 3 stones in. We had north and south in the center. And then we had groups, sometimes I would just simply go there. And with Elon, Elon was the owner at that time, who was the builder, who collaborated with the vision of this. And so the next one we did was for the equinox, for the March equinox. And so we were there for the rising of, you might want to walk over toward that stone, the March equinox stone.
This is the rising March equinox.
Rising, right. And then so that evening we then marked where the setting was. And so we were able to put in the exact east and the exact. And then we were there for the next solstice, and so therefore, if you go to the unstable. If you go to the next, if you go to the next stone over, that would both be the Taurus stone, but it would also be for the rising of the for the let's see, it would be the toward the south of east. So that would be the winter solstice stone, I believe, right? The December solstice stone, and then you would go to the next one, which would be the Gemini stone, right? So the fourth one over, which is the exact south stone, would be the Cancer mystery school. And it, of course, it's the size that it is because of it matches the horizon from the center stone. But the very interesting thing is that at the latitude of Faywood Hot Springs, if you're going to put 12 stones in, which is what our idea was, that the next one over, which would not be a solstice or an equinox, and this would be the Leo stone, is almost exactly equidistant till we get to the next solstice stone, amazingly enough. Now that would not occur at any other latitude, maybe around 33, 34 degrees south latitude, yes, but it has to be about 33 or 34 north latitude to have this really magical phenomena, where the stone in between south and north is equidistant to the next solstice stone. So there we go from the Leo stone, and the next one over would be the Virgo stone. So this would actually be in alignment with a solstice sunset. And then you would go over to the next one over, and now we get to the exact equinox sunset stone. And so that's exactly opposite. You can look back over to the sunrise of the equinox. Those are directly east-west. And where I lived actually was over, it's probably hard to see, but you see that little mountain, that thing that kind of looks like a dragon on its back, the mountain range that's over there, that where our house was is right underneath there. And it was right underneath there, which is where I found that petroglyph that I sometimes use as my symbol on the top of one of those hills, completely not marked or known. And I just found it up there. I think I have a video on that, or we have some photos of that. So we keep going, and then we get to another solstice stone. And you can see its own unique shape. And boy, we had so many groups there where people would stand by those stones representing the mystery school. So this one would be the Scorpio one. And then the next one would be the Sagittarian stone. And if I am keeping track, it's a little bit different. I was there in person, but I'm trying to keep track here. So I believe this one would be then in alignment with the North stone. I'm sorry, this is the North stone, in alignment with the East stone. And then we keep going.
The next one here is the North stone.
Oh, okay. So what did I do? I missed one. Anyway, there's 12, and they all match the different mystery schools, and so we have one then is directly across from the South stone. So this would be the North stone, and that would be representing Capricorn. And then the next one over, this is now that equidistant one, and so this is the one that's in between a solstice stone and a equinox stone. And then we get to the next solstice sunrise stone, and that would be the Pisces one. And then we get back to the starting point, which is the equinox sunrise stone. And before my friend Elon passed away, we also had plans to put in stones for the lunar standstill, and I think there are some stakes in for that, but might still be there. There used to be stakes we had in the ground there.
I was wondering what that was. Okay,
yeah.
so those are, you can see they're a little bit.
Yeah, those would be
a
for
little
the
bit beyond solstice, right? Like this one.
Right. So we were actually there for the 2006 lunar standstill, and so we were able to put in the stakes for that and watch the moon rise and set at its furthest extreme. And our master plan actually was to have 4 stones in different colors that would mark the royal stars used by the Native Americans of that area. We had one for Capella, we had one for Antares, we had one for I think I'm actually not remembering, Antares, Capella, Sirius I think was one of them, and the other one was I'm not remembering. But it was a master plan of like this. It was emulating a kind of a hybrid of Scottish and Callanish stone circles, one in the middle, 12 on the outside, but also to bring in some of the concepts that the Native American medicine wheels would use. Now, there's 2 more things that I want to mention here to describe the magic of this place. The very last stone that we put in was for the December solstice, for the winter solstice. And if you look back toward that one, we discovered when we finally put it in that it was exactly in alignment with where the hot water comes out, right in alignment with the for the sunset, for the December solstice sunset. And it was directly in line with the tanks, which is where the sacred water comes out of the ground. And the other thing that really blew our mind, because the emphasis in the school has always been around the December solstice, and it turns out this stone circle directly aligns with it toward the setting of the solstice, December solstice sun. Another thing that I found out later, because remember, this was all organically created. There was no instruments. We didn't use any kind of technology to do it. When we walked it off after it was fully built, the diameter of it is almost to the foot, exactly the diameter of Stonehenge. And the thing that is extremely amazing about that is that the reason that Elon was into building this together with me was that he, as a young man, had been to Stonehenge before they put a fence around it and camped in the middle of Stonehenge. And it completely, that was part of the major experience, one of the major experiences of his life. So that's kind of the reason why he was into building this. I've always thought it's, maybe 100, 200 years in the future, maybe this gets covered over or, gets lost or forgotten about. And so archaeologists of the future will come back here and say, I didn't know the Native Americans were into these kinds of stone circles. So this is going to last a long time. One thing to know about the stones is that there's like a larger amount of the stone underground than there is above ground. So they're actually in very, very deep, particularly the big ones are in really deep. He got these stones from a nearby quarry and hauled them in, and he was a builder, and he he refurbished the whole Faywood Hot Springs site, which was in disrepair when he first got there, not too long before I moved to that area. So the
So
last,
Daniel, could you
yeah,
tell us how it might be used? We're just past Equinox here.
well, we would always do groups there at the the equinox and the solstice times. We loved going there at December solstice because it would be cold, but boy, it was so great to be up under the sky and then go into the hot water, you know. And then we would actually do night sky presentations in the hot springs, after being up on the hill for sunset, which would be very early at that time of year. So we would gather up there. We would, particularly for sunrise and sunset. We all actually also used this place for people to do their graduation ceremony for the all-night vision quest, astrological vision quest experience. We had a lot of people spend the night up here on the hill, and we've also had graduations there. We had I think it was in 2006. I can't remember right now. I have to go through all my books to see how many times we were there. It was a lot. We had 7 graduates actually at one time here at this site. It's a very powerful place for individual use, but also for group use, and it's small enough. It might look really big here, but unless the wind is blowing really loud, you can actually hear. You can be at the different stones and you can hear someone in the middle, and you could actually. We envisioned having this as something where, like 100, 200 people would gather, and then you would have the different tribes, arrayed at the different stones, the different mystery school stones. And you can also, it's also really useful for the night sky aspect of it to be able to put your chart on the ground. And then the chart becomes really a living thing in relationship with the sky. It's a beautiful site also because of such a low horizon, so that you can get the full, like, sort of planetarium effect when you're there. And to see the planets rise, and to see the moon rise and set from there, the sun rise and set from there is, oh my gosh, it was quite frankly one of the most remarkably magical experiences of my whole life, living in that area and having the opportunity to have this built. Whenever people go to that area, I suggest that they go there, to visit the hot springs, but also to go up on the hill and to be with the stones. They're going to last a long time, and I'm glad to see it's still in good shape, really. And not everybody who goes there knows about it up there, right? But it's easily accessible to go up and be with it at sunrise and sunset. Now, there's one other thing, which is the builder, Elon Urwit, my friend, who unfortunately very untimely passed away with pancreatic cancer. His ashes are actually under a stone just outside the December solstice sunset stone. And I've advocated for someone to put a plaque in there about it, that here lies Elon, the master builder of this site. And I don't know if anybody's ever done that. I've talked to the owner about it. I've had an opportunity to share the whole story if the same owners are still there. Right. So, yeah. Right. You're looking toward, you have to be to the stone where you're looking toward the tanks. It's hard for me to see what I'm looking at right now. Is that yeah? So it's right. So it's that flattish kind of stone that's where where Elon's ashes are actually, and I think that no one's ever put up any indication of it, but that's where I'm sure he would have loved that's what would happen, that they're here at his his replication of his memories and connection to his Stonehenge experience. And then it turns out the stone circle is exactly the same diameter of Stonehenge itself, amazingly, but a very different style of stone circle than Stonehenge. And again, it's like synthesizing the one stone in the middle, 12 on the outside, and different size stones to match the horizon. And then, the application of it to the teachings of our school, which is every stone would represent one of the 12 mystery schools. And then we would have a fire. We would, we'd get together in a group in the middle, and then look at the different alignments. And we usually would be in the middle as a group, to do night sky work, to use our lasers to look at the sky. So hopefully this is giving a good sense of the magic of this site. And I think you'll be back up there again for sunset to see the sunset and the stars come out. So I'm jealous. I wish I was there with you. I'm as close as I can at the moment. So
Yeah, this was a great introduction. I worked with it last night to watch where the sun set in relation to the equinox stones, and saw the distance that had been traveled by the sun since equinox. But
yes,
now it puts it in all new context to hear some of your insights. So I'm excited to check it out again tonight.
I do hope that one day we'll be able to have another group there, and to take advantage of a modern sacred site in the old style that's right here in New Mexico, southern New Mexico.